We are now ready to start building our mobile application that will serve to play the game. We will explain the logic and the navigation between components. We will add icons. We will work on the onload event, and we will create all the components the mobile application needs. So in this diagram, we can see all 4 of our mobile app components. The entry point will be CMP home, and it will have a welcome screen with a button to create a new game. By clicking on this button, you will navigate to the CMP start game component that will handle the name and topic selection for the game. In turn, it will also have a button to start the game. And once we click on the start game button, we will navigate to the CMP round component that will present the quiz and its options with a button to send and validate the user response. It will rely on the CMP end round component to show the right or wrong user answer. And finally, it will check if the game is over to start a new round or navigate to the last component, CMP endgame. This last one will display the score and a retry button to go back to the CMP start game component. Let's start our setup by copying the necessary icons that we will later use throughout the components. It's actually going to be a logo icon for the application, quiz-color.svg, and 2 icons for the answer, a correct one called correct.svg and an incorrect one, incorrect.svg. We can opt to use the file manager of our operating system and copy them on the corresponding folder. And if we click on the SVG file, we can visualize and edit its contents. For a correct visualization of our SVG icons, we will need to take into account a couple of issues. The first, we need to identify with ID equals root in the main SVG tag. And the second is that if we need to use the color scheme of the icon, Blazedpath will allow for it, and we need to add the fills equals current color in the main tag and eliminating the fill property on the child nodes for the SVG tag. If we want to keep the original icon color, we can just skip the step. Next, we will continue this setup by opening the onload event. Like we previously said, in here we can make the setup of the culture, the application menu, and lastly, using this icon, we are launching the application. So we are going to change our application icon that we just added, quiz-colored.svg. We are going to set up the app name, that's quizzes games. Like we mentioned it earlier, if we wish for the application to be multi-language, we use the translations from the culture JSON file. We would have to use double brackets before and after any string in the application we want translated, and add the key value pair on the culture JSON file. So we could write double brackets, title, close double brackets. In this example, we are not going to be using multi-language, so we are just going to skip the translations and add all the text manually. We are going to skip the subtitle, and since we are not going to use any menu, we can just remove the variable altogether and assign null to the blocky parameter. We delete the resources JSON file from the menu as well to keep the system clean. We disable the in-app search, and we'll leave the CMP component as the welcome screen. And finally, we leave the default culture file. So we finish our setup by creating all the necessary components for our application like we previously discussed. And firstly, we're going to create the folder for the components. We're going to move the CMP home component inside the folder. And we create the rest, dragging a label to the layout of each component so we avoid an empty component error when we try to run the application.